And welcome to Kelly's Bar. My name is Gary House alongside Ryan Kelly. We're talking yards after contact. Welcome to our show. This is week 4 of the high school season upon us, and week 3 was a pretty good one. And they're in a big game. Cut right to it. Ryan Masson and Warren Harding. Great football game up at Harding. Of course, Lynn Bowden, a sensational player from Warren G. Harding High School. Had to be a great atmosphere, great ball game, and boy, it was almost single-handedly he took care of business for Harding.
Well, and everything that I hear in the area, from I've heard from some Harding guys, some Ursuline guys in their prep, it was the Lynn show on that end, and he had 6 touchdowns. So I mean, Massillon kind of physically dominated the game for the most part, from what I've heard. But Lynn Bowden, you'll be hard pressed to find me a better player in the state of Ohio than Lynn Bowden.
Well, that may be true. Highly touted. I saw him perform down at the Friday night down in Columbus, which is one of their bigger events. And unfortunately, probably for Lynn, they got a real solid class at Ohio State with the receivers. And they're still maybe even waiting on the kid from Cleveland Heights, Jalen Harris, as well. But geez, he's magical out on the field.
Well, I mean, that's the big deal. I think he kind of waited, but there's a lot that goes into getting a scholarship offer, and you tell these kids all the time, it's not just being the best player on the field. There's making sure you qualify. We've had kids in the past do those things. I know Lynn works hard in the classroom. I knew him since he was in 8th grade. So those kids are good kids, but a lot goes into it. So there's a lot of different things. Hopefully it works out for him, if not Ohio State somewhere, and he's a guy that I could see doing big things on Saturdays.
Sure, he's got schools like maybe Michigan State and maybe a couple other Big Ten schools that are after him. Don't know how it's going to end up, if who will have room or not in their class, like Ohio State, unfortunately. But he's a talent, and sometimes cream rises to the top. And if they go far, potentially in the playoffs, off to a great start. Can't do any better, so far. And they got a good one this week coming up too.
Yeah, they got Fitch, and I think Gary said it earlier, they're one of the most underrated teams in the area. And I mean, Coach Annarella, he's a phenomenal coach. They get after it on defense. So it's a big game for him. It's an area game, but it's a big game for Fitch. You can only you're underrated so long until you stop a guy like Lynn Bowden, you beat a team like Harding. So
I don't think the expectations were real high for Fitch this year, at least publicly anyway. But they're quietly putting together a nice, solid season, and a victory over Warren Harding in week 4 will kind of propel them onto some good things. 3-1 after 4 weeks, and have that victory under their belts. That gives them a lot of confidence. So it should be a good, and that's what it's meant to be. Fitch and Harding, 2 big schools in the area. I hope there's a good crowd, a lot of excitement. Should be a good atmosphere in that game, and should be a good football game overall.
Well, and I think Harding's starting to do a good job of it. Some of these schools are starting to, it's old SVC type football, and those good matchups.
Sure.
And we got Jeff Beck here tonight, and those matchups with Crestview. I love those area matchups. Good schools playing each other, and that's
every week
about.
there should be those kind of games.
Yeah.
Niles and Struthers played each other last week, and boy, what is it for a missed extra point and then a missed field goal at the end of the game? The Wildcats, boy, that put a little taint on their season.
School that I think that they're
a little underrated, maybe.
A little underrated. Yeah, they're hanging around with everybody. So, I mean, it's good football.
You mentioned JFK and Coach Jeff Beck. They're a good start. Can't do any better at this particular point. Yeah. Unfortunately, a little injury kind of might have, gave him a little different perspective so far. They're going to have to really earn it till if he's able to come back. We're talking about Jacob Coates, the fine wide receiver / kick returner, everything, Mr. Everything for Kennedy is on the shelf with the shoulder injury.
I've had the opportunity to meet Coach Bayek over the last couple of years. I know Jim Campaign is on their staff, Don Perlogo, good guys, and they speak nothing but highly about these 2 young men that are here. But Jacob Coates, kids like for kids like that, it's a pain tolerance. And first thing I ask, is the kid a tough kid? Nothing but he's tough.
He'll play as soon as he can.
I guarantee he'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back. And Crestview, good team, should be. That Crestview should be another good local football game. Fans, what more could you want? Go out and support your programs and see good football. Boardman kind of had a disappointing against Massillon Jackson.
Yeah, and I think last week Coach Ignazio, he hung around, talked a little bit. I think
great guy.
And he alluded to the fact that they have a newer coach. If you ever get a chance to go to a stadium, Massillon Jackson, it's beautiful.
Well, there was that Boardman.
But but they have all the facilities to become
Sure.
a solid program
Sure.
down there.
Yeah.
And I think that coach kind of is establishing it. He said they were pretty good on offense. So, but just same thing. When you get a big win like that, you haven't beat Mooney in 7-8 years. Next thing you know, you got a little hangover coming off that thing. So it's
Unfortunately,
you don't
yeah.
want to see a loss. You'd rather have a bad half and scream at half in the locker room. But
And really, when you look at the two of the touchdowns that Maslin Jackson scored, one was on like a trick receiver pass,
Yeah.
long 70-yard potential. I don't know what exactly it was, and the other was interception return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
There's 14 points right there. So Boardman's got their hands full with Steubenville this week too, so they can go from 2-0 to 2-2 like that. So
I mean, it's different. Playing Steubenville, we played them twice last year. I played them when I was in high school, coached
What are
against
some-
them. They're a whole different, mindset, whole different attitude. I know they lost a lot, but for me
Still
as a coach,
Steubenville.
every year they're one of those schools like, oh, this is their down year. Next thing you know, they got
Sure.
the same tough kids. It's their mentality. It's bred from 7th and 8th grade all the way through high school. So they're ready to go. It's not rebuilding, it's reloading, and it's just the same thing every year.
Mooney bounced back against an Akron team that was expected pretty much.
Yeah.
And your boys, Ursuline, they got a tough one coming up too now.
Yeah, I mean it's like they got right into it. You get done with Hoban, who's got you
Wow.
feel like you got a Division I guy at every position, and now you're right back playing Maslin. But it's essentially it's a home game for Ursuline. It's on a Saturday afternoon at Warren Harding. So maybe a couple of the Maslin guys sleep in a little bit, and they come out. But Ursuline's a young team, but they played hard. I mean, it was 17-12 in the fourth quarter against Hoban. So they're they kind of ran out of gas. But
Well, it should be an interesting week 4. Half the season's almost over. We call it the quickest 10 weeks in sports here with
absolutely
the high school season.
Yeah.
What's going on exciting here at Kelly's? I know, the Buckeyes and YSU both play Saturday.
Yeah, so I think, week 1 of college football, everyone peg is the biggest week. I think it's actually week 3, and it was, looming in the balance. But for us, we're doing our tailgate party for YSU. That's going to start, the whole day is going to kick off at 1 o'clock. Saturday is exactly 6 months to St. Patrick's Day. So we had a big St. Patrick's Day this past year, and we're going to do the same thing. We got smoked Reubens, the Cole Cannon, the full Irish menu outside. DJ Anthony DeVecchio is going to be outside for us, kicking the party off. 1 o'clock all the way through. YSU kicks off at 4:30, so we have shuttles that'll run you up and down the street for the YSU game. But
And then
all
come
the
back
way
here
through for YSU or Ohio State starts at 7:30. Notre Dame plays Michigan State 7:30. But there's football on from the moment Florida State plays Louisville, and that kid might be the Heisman Trophy winner. I don't know that
Quarterback,
I
yeah.
mean, from noon until you can't even keep your eyes open. There's great football.
Sounds
on Saturday,
exciting.
So
Well, I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to being in Norman, Oklahoma this weekend myself. So
I'm a little jealous.
it should be exciting. It's college football is the greatest, and of course Friday night high school. If you nowhere to go after the game, come on down to Kelly's after you go to your high school football game on Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been talking about this. Our kitchen's open late. We got a pretty good crowd here Friday. Anytime there's local games going on. I know like Ursuline doesn't play till Saturday, but no matter where you're from, you're coming from Fitch Harding, stop down. We put the high school football coverage on, the 11 o'clock news. Watch the recap, get a good burger, get some wings.
Sure.
It's a great place.
Good food, good drink, good friends. All right. Well, you won't make it here. You got somewhere to be, so
I gotta get back to my other job
Okay.
here, but.
we'll be back here doing this again next week.
Yeah, next Wednesday, I think we're building a good roster now. We want to hit every team. I want you guys, we're bought into it wholly. I want you guys to buy in. I want you to be a part of it. If there's any coaches, players interested, contact Gary, contact myself, contact Bob, our media guy. We're all in on this thing, and I think we've got nothing but good reviews, and it's not just because we're a part of it, but we want to continue to see it grow. We'd like these high school kids to get exposure.
Sure.
That's what Gary's about. It's what I'm about. So, I mean, if anybody has interest, we'd love to hear your story, get the coverage.
Come on down. We shoot every Wednesday, so
Yeah.
appreciate your support. All right, that'll do it. Our first segment here. We're going to be back here from Kelly's Bar in Youngstown, Ohio, with more of Yards After Contact. welcome back to Kelly's Bar in Youngstown, Ohio, Mahoney Avenue. My name's Gary Houstu, and we're here with Yards After Contact. My guest right now is the head coach. I almost said the wrong team there, looking at your jersey, by the way. Coach Jeff Beck of the Warren JFK Eagles, formerly of the Hubbard Eagles, formerly of the Canfield Cardinals. Anybody else? Camel Memorial?
Camel Memorial.
Okay, nice little resume going there.
Yeah.
Coach, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's nice to be here.
Great. Well, let's start with your great third week victory over Girard. Good momentum builder for a big ball game coming up in week 4 for you, huh?
Yeah, we had a pretty good game last week at Girard. We had to go to our running game a little bit more than we're used to. We had a pretty serious injury the week before, but our kids really rose to the occasion, and we moved the ball on the ground. Our tailback had about 150 yards rushing, and
Evan
our
Boyd.
Evan Boyd, and our defense really rose to the occasion. The quarterback at Girard's really a good football player, and we did
The
really
sophomore,
good,
Marky Wade.
Marky Wade, yeah, and we did a really good job of containing him. And if you can do that, I think that's the key to having a chance against Girard.
Is that a rivalry game in any way there, or is it just?
Well, I remember when I was coaching at Hubbard and Camel, some of the shootouts that they had.
Yeah,
54, 53,
yeah,
and I know they built.
I know Liberty's Girard's main rival.
Right. But it's a pretty good game. There are a lot of kids, that the schools are close, and
Is it a big game for JFK?
it's a big game for JFK for sure, and I think it is for Girard too.
Just because you're playing up a little bit, or
We're playing up, plus they're neighbors.
Okay.
They're real close to us right
Yeah.
there on 422, and it's kind of king of the block type thing, and we really get fired up to play them.
well, you mentioned unfortunately the week 2 injury, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Talk about it. He's a great young man. You hate to see that happen. When did it happen during the game? Give us the background and circumstances
It was
of
the
it.
fourth quarter,
Okay.
and
Winning.
look, we were winning. We won the game 17-0, and LeBray was trying desperately to get the ball to Tariq Drake, who was
Okay.
their wide
Great
receiver. Yeah.
Great. Committed to Ohio University, I
Yes.
believe.
And our corner, Jacob Coates, who
Mr. Everything.
Mr. Everything for us, yeah. He was defending him on a fade route, probably midway through the fourth quarter. And he ended up running the route for Drake and picked it off, and on a diving catch, and when he came down, came down on his shoulder and broke his collarbone.
Not even a hit, just landed on the.
No, it was just one of those fluke things that happen. And I knew as soon as he went down, he either knocked the wind out of himself because he fell that way, or hurt himself severely. And so he had surgery last week, and we're hoping if we can do our part to maybe get him back later in the year.
Coach, on a human side, what does that mean to you and your team? Losing a
Well-
guy like that right now. Hopefully it's temporary.
Yeah, hopefully. And I think it is. But, when you coach for as many years as I have, kids have limited opportunities. And you hate to ever see a kid get hurt at all. But when a senior gets hurt, you feel really bad, because his games are numbered in high school. And then when it's one of your captains who does, who's a 4-year starter for JFK, which is rare, you really hate to see it happen because he has so much invested. But I'll tell you what, he's a great kid. He's been at practice every day, minus the day he had surgery, which was last Thursday, and then he was at our Girard game. And it was the day after he had surgery. He's a true leader and a captain, and we're just hoping that he heals well and we can do our part to give him a chance to play again.
What did the loss mean to you personally as a
Well,
coach?
I mean, as a captain, and he and a young man named Ross Nacera were our captains last year as juniors. And I've never had junior captains. They're both great leaders, and so we've become pretty close. So personally, it hurt too. I mean, just to see that happen to somebody who's all in. And Jacob Coates is all in everything that he does.
Now, we were talking before the show. There's a chance we could see him again, number 44, right?
Yeah, I think if things go well, I think we could see him maybe game 10. It's just going to depend on how quickly he heals. And if we can keep things going, and we might have a chance to get him maybe more than one game.
So if you get into week 11, maybe he'll be ready to go for sure, possibly.
We certainly hope
Hopefully.
so. Yep.
Well, that's the goal, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, geez, you got a little roadblock this week, huh? Little hurdle, little obstacle
Well,
in
it's
your
our-
way?
Yeah, and it's,
How big a game is this, Coach? Crestview on Friday at Crestview.
you know me, I think they're all big.
Okay.
I mean, every week they're
All right,
big.
well, this is a little bigger
And
than,
this is the only team that beat us in the regular season last year.
Okay.
It was a one touchdown game, and
here we go.
you know it was a very well played, hard hitting game. And
Was that a comeback victory by them last year?
yeah, I think we were leading going into the fourth quarter, and they went up tempo, and they did a great job. They came off the ball. They're very big up front, a lot bigger than we are. But you know, our kids are excited about the challenge, and you know, this will be our third week on the road, and so we're going to have to go down there and at Crestview and you know, really play well to upset them at their place. So it'll be a great challenge, but that's what playing at JFK is all about, as far as I'm concerned. Every week's a challenge. There's only one team on our schedule that's our size, and the rest of them are all bigger than we are. So, you know, we take every week as a big week, and you know, we'd love to beat Crestview because it's fourth week of the season. It's the biggest game of the year for us right now. If we do, that's great. If we don't, we move on and get ready for Steubenville Catholic.
Now, was it different, harder to game plan for Gerard? And I'm assuming it'll be the same without Coates. And
Yeah,
how do
it's-
you pick up the slack, or
it's-
what was the strategy with that?
Well, it's going to take us a little bit of time, you know, to kind of figure out where we want to land here, because everything went through Jake. You know, even if it was a play to somebody else, we tried to use Jake as somebody to get their attention. So, you know, we ended up going to the ground game last week. We think we have some other weapons. We have a wide receiver who we're really excited